FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. G'day, what a weekend of footy. It was almost a one of upsets, I reckon. I don't reckon we got many tips right, Skeeter, but that's not really a change for us. Will Schofield, Mark Redding's coming to you. That was the Southern River Band lads out of Thornley. Hello, Skeeter.
Hello, Scoey. Just think of this, 9.79 seconds. I think that was the time that Noah Lyles ran in the 100 metres.
I thought you'd had the stopwatch out at home, Skeeter.
Takes me about that long to get out of bed. Seriously, he ran 100 metres in that time, and you're tracking about the same as me at the moment because you're tired, you're sore, your back come good.
No, it hasn't. My back actually hasn't come good.
You are old before your time.
Decrepit.
Yeah, decrepit. It's that time of the year, though. It's August where it's getting cold and finals aren't quite here, but the footy, one of the most bizarre rounds in terms of results and what we've seen, but particularly the league leaders. We've got a new premiership favourite, by the way, and that's pretty obvious given what we saw yesterday.
Absolutely. Make sure you're following us on socials, Shelter FootyCast over on Instagram. And make sure you get involved with the show. Either sign up as a VIP of the show. You can do that over at shelterfootycast.com.au. You can send us an email to footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Skeeter, I gave you the little teaser of the hazy IPA, which is coming out. It's dropping very shortly. Launch event this Friday at Shelter down in Busselton. There will be a Metro launch on Friday the 16th of August. I have spoken to the lads at Shelter. I've got an early release can coming in here before they drop it to the public. We're giving Mark Reddings an exclusive tasting on the show on Thursday.
On Thursday morning.
Get those taste buds ready, Skeeter, because I gave you all about it. It's a big, juicy, tropical flavour going to be going down the gullet of yours.
No, looking forward to that. They're doing a very nice job with those, and hopefully, I would say this Friday at Busselton.
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful.
I haven't got you down there, though. Didn't get the helicopter organised. So we'll be here. We might go to the Metro one together. Okay, Skate, let's get into the footy. Look, there's plenty of games and results that we can go through, but I think we'll keep that till a little bit later on in the show. And sorry to Dockers fans and other fans, but over here in the West, the biggest chatting point is the West Coast Eagles coaching job. So Jamie Graham is the latest coach to put his hand up and say not interested. How do you read that one?
I'm completely surprised.
I didn't see the direct quote.
No, he spoke on ABC Radio. So again, I was doing 6PA yesterday, and it came to light that had come out. I'm really surprised, and good luck to him if that's the path he wants to take, being an assistant coach. I just wonder if Jamie, and highly respected, and was, I think, considered in the top 2 or 3 candidates, given the field that was in play at the moment. We might be, of course, missing a few that the Eagles have spoken to. But, I found it really strange that he wouldn't at least go through the process. Does he want to be a senior coach or not?
I think it identifies
more about the West Coast.
Nothing about Jamie Graham and everything about the West Coast Eagles. The more people that drop out shows that this job, I think, is a hiding to nothing. I think you sign up to this. They don't think that this next coach is the next premiership coach. So you're an interim coach, and I think people are identifying that. If you put Jamie Graham in the gun here and you say, mate, you can coach it for the Freo Dockers for the next 5 years with the list they have, with the potential of a premiership
and security
at home still. The pressure's not going to be there like it is at West Coast. Or you can go to West Coast and, you can have your head coaching job.
And back yourself. I mean, I totally understand your rationale, but Jared Schofield at the moment is not sitting back going, well, do I want to coach next year? Of course he wants to coach next year. He wants to be the full-time coach, unless I'm misreading it.
Well, do we know that?
I'm prepared to state that if he gets offered the job at the end of this process, that he'll take it, unless there's some real friction and factions inside the footy club. I assume he'd take it. Why wouldn't you? I mean, otherwise, why would you accept the interim role?
Well, because you're not going to not do that. You're at the club already, and that's a free hit for you because there's no pressure whatsoever for a 7-round coaching job. What the opportunity is taking over a list that is nowhere still. You're losing senior players. It is a full rebuild. So we're talking Adam Muse at Richmond. Like, he's already coming under pressure. We've seen that. That's what West Coast is. Yeah, absolutely. But that's what it is. That's what the game is. So coaches are looking at this opportunity, and I say in inverted commas, opportunity, as, well, what am I doing right now? Because we know that success for assistant coaches gives the best opportunity to go and be a head coach. So if Jamie Graham, again, stays at the Dockers for the next 4 years, in 4 years' time, there's going to be a head coaching job somewhere.
Or before then.
And let's just say that the Dockers are very successful over the next 4 years. People are going to be looking at the Freo Dockers assistant coaches and going, well, who's next available there? We've seen it with Hawthorn, with Richmond, with Collingwood now. Like, that is what happens. No one's, and no offence to anyone at West Coast, no one's looking at West Coast or North Melbourne or Richmond and going, gee, who's coaching there? We need to get their services across the line, are we? Have you seen any candidates from those ranks?
And I think that's unfair to the extent that you can be an excellent operator and you're dealing with a list that doesn't have any upside. It is. But I still disagree with you. I think if, for instance, Jared Schofield, he takes over full time as an argument, or anyone, you get 7 wins out of the team next year, which would be 7 or 8 wins would be what you'd be hoping to achieve, not necessarily play finals. There's immediately excitement and a buzz around the place. You're starting at such a low level that I do agree with you. They're not going to be the next premiership coach unless something dramatically happens. But I still think to take over a club that's well-resourced, is going to have some high collateral draft picks at their disposal to use to get some talent into the club. They've got the salary cap in a reasonable position, to my understanding. You can say to no to a lot of things in life, and I probably think you're right with those coaches you mentioned for various reasons. But I also think there's, you don't get too many shots at the title per se. And if you do get asked, Jared Schofield at the end of this year, I have no doubt in my mind that he'll take it.
I think there's too many people, especially in Western Australia, that thinks the West Coast Eagles coaching job is the title. I think people are looking at it as it is, and it's not that good. It's not that good of a job. The stranglehold that West Coast once had on the West isn't real anymore. The club's been for 3 years at the bottom of the ladder. Yes, there's some high-end talent coming in, but they've still got a lot of ducks to get in a row, mate.
I agree.
Like there's a lot to be done at that footy club to get it working properly. Waffle side still no good. Number one, like the AFL side, still no good. The emotional roller coaster with West Coast and their supporter base, and here in the West. Like, they win one game, and I feel like there's this sudden breath of optimism.
To be fair, I was there, and you were on Friday as well.
It was the best they've probably played all year.
I'm not even sure it was the best they played all year, but I think because they'd lost, 9 in a row, had 7 players under 20 years of age, I think, Eagles supporters, and Kane Corns has given them a whack over the journey, but he said their supporters are really, really, really good in terms of the loyalty they've shown. So I think it was just a reward for them, in part, to express that they had a great night at the footy. It's nice occasionally to win a game, which they haven't been able to do recently. So, yeah, I'm more trying to be positive. You feel like
I'm trying to be truthful. I'm just trying to call it how it is, as I do with everything, Skeeter. I'm not trying to be negative. This is how it is, mate. I'm looking at the situation.
Yeah, but I beg to differ with coaches. I mean, if you back yourself as a coach, you're going to find, if you get offered the job at the West Coast Eagles, and obviously guys like Jamie Graham haven't put their hand up. So
Cox, Carr, Graham, Buckley, they're all what? Well, they don't understand what's going on, or are they stupid? Like what's
there's all various reasons. Dean Cox is settled in Sydney. He's got his family happy there. He's probably going to take over from John Longmire. Right. Well, that's the word. Nathan Buckley is settled in Melbourne. Josh Carr went to Adelaide because of family. There are reasons behind it, not just. And you're right. It's in part because the Eagles have been a shambles in the last couple of years, but I don't think it's the sole reason. I think if you're a coach and you get the opportunity, I still think, in Jared Schofield's case, I'm using him as the gatekeeper at the moment. I think you try and back yourself to improve this list and improve the culture. I think that can be done.
Can you name me one person that has said, I want the West Coast Eagles coaching job next year?
Not publicly, they haven't, no.
Not one?
No, but that's not to say that there aren't people talking to the Eagles and saying, what would it look like? How would this unfold? I think given Don Pike and those that are tasked with putting this coaching process through to its nth degree, will be absolutely making the phone calls that required to be made.
Seems very internal processes still at West Coast. Still thinks, we're the best. We've got this handled. We've got this sorted for mine. If you're going to go and get the head coach for the next 10 years, right, which is what the hire should be, right?
So just to expand on that, and I'm not being critical, but you're saying that the selection committee that's been put in place, they should have brought in, for argument's sake, even those in Hawaii, say Paul Roos or someone who's external to the club to help that process?
Not even. I'm pretty surprised Justin Langer, who's been a coach pretty good coach at an international level. Why is he not on that coaching panel? Why would you not have him on there? That was a bit strange for mine.
No, I'm not fussed
Very
with it.
internal. Like, I don't think Justin Langer's a West Coast guy.
But he's also
per se.
a board member.
So is Rowan Jones.
Yeah, well, but Rowan Jones is a football person per se.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the idea of bringing someone from the outside. I think there's, as I say, it's never as bad and never as good. But I honestly believe there will be some upsides, some better times to come.
Okay, very good. We might stop there because I might just keep banging them down. Any other issues floating around outside of games and what's happening?
What about the selfie? Oh, look,
Here we go.
I like the selfie.
You like it?
I don't mind. Well,
I like it too.
there's two ways to look at it. One is, Spurrier was in the box. Lee Spurrier was in the box with us, and he sort of raised the eyebrows and rolled the eyes. He's a Freo man. But also, I sort of understand him saying, what have they done? They won their 4th game for the season. Selfies like that, we've seen Hawthorn do it. Dockers have chimed in at the SCG this year. I think that's just the generation. Yeah. They have their moment. They capture it. Well, it's like going out to dinner with my family. It's like the daughters, the first thing they do, we're about to plough in. No. Let's get a photo of the food.
What do they do with that?
Oh, I don't know.
What do they do
William,
with that photo?
Don't ask me. I mean, just don't get it. But that's what they do. That generation, they want to, because if it didn't happen on socials, it didn't happen.
Oh,
and I don't mind. A bit of fun and great front page or back page of the West. And I think it's Harvey Johnston was the young bloke who's a bit of the initiator of that type of work.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I like that inside work. So it looked for all money that Tom Cole's given a big fuck you to the Gold Coast Suns, given these ones. I don't know if you saw that, Skeeter.
I did see the finger. But it would have been the Suns.
No, but it wasn't a middle finger. It was.
What was the other finger?
It was someone else. Like it was these ones, and someone else's hand was involved. It was an optical illusion, Skeeter. It was very good.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, very good. Will Scoville, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. I want to talk about Fremantle. We've just done a bit about West Coast.
Well,
we'll come back to the West Coast.
If you've bashed the team that won on the weekend, I hate to find out what you're about to say now.
I'm off the long run today, don't worry. Hey, by the way,
yes,
7 out of 9 I got this week.
So did I.
No, you got 6 out of 9.
In this one. No, I changed, in all seriousness, I changed my tip to West Coast at 6:25 on Friday night. And I was being very pessimistic for about 3/4.
Did you submit it here on the Shelter FootyCast?
No, I don't.
No, you picked the Gold Coast. You didn't back them in. You picked the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
All right, Essendon defeat Fremantle by 1 point at the MCG. Bombers keep their season alive. Where did it all go wrong for Freo? It was centre bounce clearance where it went wrong.
Smashed in the last. Well, they got beaten most of the day.
Smashed in the first and smashed in the last at centre bounce clearance.
Yeah, and look, you're right, Essendon did that. But sometimes yesterday, you saw Hayden Young, a case in point, when the Dockers did get a clearance. I can't remember a player being able to win it at the centre circle, bounce his way, not one Essendon player approached him and he kicked the goal. It was that type of match, but when you're 25 points up in the last quarter and you can't defend that lead, credit to Essendon. They deserve credit because they could have put the white flag up, but I think there's a lot of question marks about the way the Dockers went about that final few moments. We spoke to Sam Switkowski on radio yesterday and asked him specifically, after Amos kicks the goal to tie things up, how do you think you were set up reasonably inside the centre square? Because he was playing forward at the time. And even we were looking with David Mundy, he said, look, Fremantle are looking as if they're not having a defensive element to this centre square formation, as it turned out. Draper, who came good in the last quarter, down the merit and away they go.
Well, Skeeter, what it tells me is that Dockers aren't ready. So that game there says that they're not ready to win a flag. And people might say, well, yeah, no shit. But from what I'd seen for the last 6 weeks, I was thinking, well, maybe they're building the maturity to be able to, to win a flag.
And it's winning on the road. But let's be honest. It's their poor performances, by and large, have been on the road. Hawthorn was admirable, even though they lost. The losses they've had against Carlton, Port Adelaide during the gather round, they will prove to haunt them for the rest of the season, I would think. And the game against the Bulldogs, that was terrible. Most of their, I think most, apart from the Derby, most of their really bad performances have come away from home.
Yeah, and this wasn't a really bad performance, but what it was an immature performance. And I saw, look, Skater, I don't like being too critical in these moments on players specifically, so I probably won't be that. But I saw some moments in the last quarter where players, that they weren't ready. Like, like Sam Draper looked like a superstar in the last quarter. I'm not sure what the big fellas at Freo are doing.
Let's be honest.
He ain't a superstar.
Sean Darcy's a gun. We know that. But I thought
So's Luke Jackson.
Yeah, but Sean Darcy was sure with 3 marking contests. Yeah. Well, was it a contest? Draper
was where he needed to be as a big fella. He got his hands, so he marked maybe 1 or 2, but Lady marked him. He was exactly where he needed to be, and it didn't look like there was anyone else with him.
Yeah, and most of the times that I was calling it, Sean Darcy was the player that was probably at fault for not at least halving a contest or being there with him. So, yeah, it's unfair to nail it on one person. Jordan Clark was really good for a lot of the day, but in the last quarter, butchered the footy.
I'm not sure what Jordan was doing in the last. Very big fan of Jordan Clark.
Oh, no, look, he was, as I said, very good for 75% of the match.
So, Skeeter, that is maturity, and that is when you're ready, you can stand up in big moments, and when it's your turn to take the game on, like we know Jordan Clark can and does all the time, but in a big moment, like if you're ready, you do it all the time. And as a midfield, if you're ready, you can win a centre clearance or you can negate a centre clearance. So Sarong, Brayshaw, Young, they couldn't stop him. And that means they're not ready because the Bulldogs are ready. Brisbane are ready. Essendon, I don't think are ready, but they beat Freo. I still don't think Essendon make finals, but
no, they're one of the hardest teams to read. And I think it's worth mentioning,
Sydney are ready.
Nat Fyfe would have been more than handy inside the centre square at some stage yesterday.
Very, very good point. So those midfields are ready. This one's not quite ready.
Not far off it. Not far off it.
No, but like I thought Sarong, I thought Brayshaw, I thought Young, Clark, Darcy, like they're all their best sort of, running gunners. They all had moments in that last quarter where they didn't stand up. And I don't think that's unfair to say.
No.
And it's disappointing for me to say because I'm sort of like cheering a West Australian team on because I want to see them go well. But they're just not quite ready, unfortunately.
And at the contest, when it was there to be won, they didn't. And look, again, I go back to the fact that you need to win those types of matches away from home. They've got a pretty difficult next 3 weeks. They've got the Cats, they've got the Giants away, they've got Port at home. And all of those sides are entrenched inside the top 8. In fact, it's 3rd, Port Adelaide, 4th, GWS, 5th, Geelong. That is a tough...
That's probably the toughest. It's probably the toughest finished.
If they win 3 games, they still might finish top 4. If they lose all 3, they might miss the finals.
Do you think it's possible for them? Well, I mean, you've just said, yeah.
Well, it is. It's you can see, the ladder doesn't lie here.
Helps them got 2 home games in that run.
Yeah, I still think they'll make it. I think they'll show enough in... I think they can win 2 of those games. Now, whether it's against the Giants away or the Cats, I think they can win 2 of those games. But I think you're right. They're almost there, ready, but not quite. When you look at the quality that we've seen from Brisbane in the past 2 months, and it's still open in terms of what's available, but they blew a massive chance, and that's been a theme for them at times this year.
Yeah, I think top 4 will be hard from here, but finals still very much on the agenda. Caleb Sarong broke an all-time record. It was his 71st consecutive game with 20-plus disposals. Breaks a record set by Jack McRae, which he equaled last week.
Yeah, I know. It's a big effort. And I'm not sure that's the stat they're looking at this morning, but well done.
But what that shows is just consistency.
He's consistent, yeah, and he's been terrific. And
Jake Stringer, he kicks 4 goals. So Luke Ryan was matched up on him a fair bit. He looked dangerous. Jai Amos kicked 4 and Josh Tracy kicked 3. It was a one-on-one game, and it looked like Essendon made it that way.
Pretty open,
like,
yeah. Which suits him.
Yeah, they've been under the pump, Essendon. Like, they had their fans hanging over, throwing scarves over the boundary and abusing them as they came into the race. So they were always going to bounce back. But I thought Freo, for the majority, did what they needed to do here. And like you said, they're up by 4 or 5 goals in the last quarter. So a lot of positive for Freo, but unfortunately, Freo fans, you're not ready.
But also
today, so cancel your flights. You're not going to the grand final. I said there was a chance last week. You're not going to the granny.
You were more than a chance. You'd
cancel them. It may not be Wolfie time. It may not even be Wolfie time.
Okay. No, you're very quick to jump on and jump off. I've noticed that today. What I will say is that this weekend, but all through the season, we've seen games where teams get run-ons, and tell you what, if you could have timeouts in AFL, coaches would have used them numerous times over this weekend.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest rules they've got right, the 6-6-6 rule. It means that, with 35 seconds to go and scores a level,
you can't just...
Right? It's a proper, you can't defend. You can't put someone behind. You can't have someone coming off the back of the square. It's a proper 3v3 mids plus the rucks, and who wins, that's what it is. So, I really like that rule and it's going well. So, run home, you mentioned Freo, Geelong, Port for Geelong, GWS, Port, and then Gold Coast, Sydney, Brisbane for Essendon. That's why I don't think Essendon makes it.
Well, they beat Gold Coast because it's in Melbourne. Sydney and Brisbane, no. Although Sydney, we'll get to them soon.
Let's keep going, Skeeter. Let's get into the West Coast game. West Coast defeat Gold Coast by 10 points at Optus Stadium. It was a combative game. It was a really physical game. Clay Hall finally got his debut, but realistically, I don't think this game was about the young guys. I think their senior and best players played well and allowed their young guys to play their role again, which I've said every time they've won, that's what happens.
Yeah, and look, I'll be honest, Gold Coast I thought had more quality during the entirety of the match, but they don't need a coach, they need a counsellor at the moment when it comes to what they produce on the road. Seriously, you knew once the Eagles kicked 5 goals in that third quarter, 5-4, and they've had really poor third quarters at times this year. In fact, they've had, it's been mixed up as to they always have a terrible quarter. Once they were within 9 points at three-quarter time scale, you could almost see the inevitability of the Suns, the little man in the back of the head just asking the question, and it played right into the Eagles' hands. And full credit, as you say, they were terrific. Waterman with 4 goals. He hit the scoreboard. He's now, up to 48 goals for the season. Tim Kelly, Elliot Yeo, all very good. And Liam Duggan had a massive last quarter.
Yeah, so these are all senior players, right? So if you look across West Coast only, Jack Darling had his best game of the year. And he was elite. That was Jack Darling, right?
And unfortunately, we're not seeing enough of that regularly. But that was really, I agree with you totally.
I'm not trying to clip him here, but in wins, their best players and their senior players play well. So why doesn't that happen every week is a question I would ask. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, as I said, there were 7 players, for instance, under the age of 20 in that side at the weekend.
That's fine. So they need just senior players playing well.
Well, you've also got to have them out there at times. And
yeah, but no. I'm not copping that. No, they've had them out there. So Darling plays well. Duggan, elite as a captain's goal.
So just going back.
Yo, Kelly, Grips, all these guys, they're their best games.
Yeah, I understand that. But I just said they've had those players who've missed a lot of footy. Darling's obviously been in and out of the side and struggled.
This year?
McGovern. He has been, McGovern's missed footy. Kelly's missed footy. Yo's had a bit more continuity in his footy. But, they need their best players in and playing well. Exactly, I agree with you. But, because they're too skinny. Their list isn't deep enough to be able to withstand losing their senior players.
Okay. Clay Hall debuted. Thought he was...
Showed a bit, yeah.
I thought he did some good things. Who got subbed out?
For the Eagles?
Oh, Harry Edwards. Harry Edwards in the big marking contest there.
And let's just break that down a bit, because with no Barris there, McGovern was left really to try and counter the likes of Mac Andrew, who played forward and started really well and showed his athleticism, and King, of course, the threat he poses. So it was left with Edwards going off, and I thought he did a super job. But maybe this is, I guess, the pennies dropped here for the club, that Ruben Jinby had a really difficult assignment, height-wise at times against Mac Andrew, and he was... But I think it shows you where he's best suited to playing his footy at the moment. It's at half-back or in defensive half, and eventually to develop into a midfielder. But he looks like he's more comfortable in that space.
And Jared Schofield's made that move, hasn't he? It was the first game he had him against Brisbane. Ruben Jimby started back. Hamish Brayshaw played with Ruben Jimby at East Perth in his draft year. And I remember when he got drafted, because BackChat, right? We're thinking backman. He's like, mate, this kid's a gun backman. And he played... He said he played lockdown sort of key defender for East Perth in his draft year. Spoke to Broady at Wesley, Michael Broadbridge, running halfback flanker. So to see him as a midfielder at AFL, I've been scratching my head since he's been there. And then you look at him, Ruben Jimby, and you're like, the way he runs and the way he moves, and he's kind of a bit rigid.
Yeah,
right?
That looks not as fluent.
He's a straight liner.
Yeah.
You think a little bit of like Shannon Hearn, right? And not the same player, but Shannon Hearn's a big straight liner. He's not bouncing left and right in packs and
sidestepping.
Yeah, and it's like Shannon Hearn was one of those guys early. It's like, why isn't he playing in the midfield? Because he's a backman. I don't even see Ruben Jimby moving to mate, he's about 195. He's huge. But why not just play him there? Why do I have to put him in the midfield?
And you might be absolutely correct. The only issue I would say is that we have seen likes of Elliot Yeo, of Hayden Young play, and I know they're different bodies and shapes, play as halfbacks initially and then move into the midfield. So you might be right. He might play 200 games as a defender, but I think there's the option if he develops, once his skill set is complete and maybe his body shape changes a little, I still think he could be a midfielder, but for the moment, absolutely, it's the best spot for him.
Yeah, that was the best game he's played, I reckon, in his AFL career. Not a very long one, but that was a very good game by him. Jeremy McGovern stood up late against King and co.
Yes, and I thought Matt Rowell, to be honest with you, he shows you what a bull he is, and he was clean where others just fumbled. And look, let's be honest, I'm going to be honest here, some of the skills that we saw, some of the turnovers from both teams made it a legitimate, 15th versus 16th. So let's not kid ourselves. And Eagle supporters rightfully celebrate, and the club's happy with the victory, which they should be. But there's, the Gold Coast Suns were not a team that I think are going to pose too many more problems for the rest of the year, given, they're out of finals.
When you start telling me they were going to play finals at some stage, Gold Coast?
No, I don't think. I've said a lot of stupid things. I don't think the Suns have been one of those. Because their form away from home just not been good enough, mate.
No, well, not even not good enough.
It's been non-existent. Putrid.
I did a podcast with some other lads, and mate, good point. When you come over on the planes and they give you the meal comes out and it's been like sitting in lukewarm sort of Bain Marie type setup, and it comes out and you got your rice, but you're happy to take that on like lukewarm, and you got maybe some veggies or something, and you're like, okay. But then there's like a solitary pork snag, like a pork sausage, sitting there by itself, and it looks like it's been just swelling in its own filth. And you're like, geez, I don't know if I'm going to eat this one.
Mate, I'm no hesitation. I still just dig in and have a crack. You know what? You just got to back yourself.
It's a bit of do or die, I reckon, with the pork snag on the plane.
How's this rate to Gold Coast?
Because they've renamed the Gold Coast Suns the Pork Snags, because they reckon that they've been getting stuck too far into the pork snags on the trip over. Too many pork snags for the boys. They come over, they play like a pork snag. It's like they're a bit sick.
Maybe they're having the dessert like you did it when you had those away trips, and Simo said, no more dessert for you, like the soup Nazi. Just went down that path and said, you're out.
So I'm going to call the Gold Coast Suns the pork snags for the rest of the year. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. Who did Melbourne play on the weekend?
They played on Friday night.
Give me the accent.
The Footscray.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Melbourne.
Now, I don't want to, just bear in mind, I'm not having cracked the Italians. I was just trying to do an Italian accent.
Yeah, we have taken a lot of inquiries from Italians saying, why is Mark Redding's doing an accent? We know, Skeeter, it's okay. You're on the podcast. It's okay. No one's being offended, I don't think. Footscray defeat Melbourne by 51 points. See you later, Melbourne. Thank you for coming for the season 2024. Dogs are absolutely sizzling on all fronts.
They're sizzling, and they feel like they're almost the form team of the competition, but they're seventh.
Yeah.
So they've still got to keep winning to play finals.
I thought they were higher than that.
I know, that's how strange this year is. But they absolutely put Melbourne to the sword early, and it never looked anything but a victory for them. The Bont, Treloar, Libba, they're all so damaging. They absolutely could have won this game by maybe 70 or 80 points. They kicked 15 goals, 20 to the Demons, 9-5. So they're in a world of pain, the Demons. Mathematically they can, but they're done for the year. Let's just be honest on that front. And the Bulldogs, the only concern here is, can they get into a position to actually challenge for the flag? Because we know that, they did it in 16, coming from, a long way back to win final after final after final, but that's not going to be always achievable.
They're a game from third. So they're one game back from Port Adelaide in third. So over the next 3 weeks, they play Adelaide, North, and GWS. You think they win definitely two, if not three.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, given how well they're going, Treloar, career best form. Bailey Dale looks like the guy we know he is. Bontempelli, gun. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, kick 2-6, but just a gun. Pair him up with Norton. They've got players all over the field. I was just looking who they're playing next week. I just feel like the Bulldogs are the sort of side that are just going that well that they'll play Adelaide and Adelaide next week and get rolled. I'm going to put my early pick in. Adelaide beat the Bulldogs next week. That's my That's the roughie of the weekend.
Yeah, it's only Monday, so let's just let's ease our way towards that. But no, I think they had that outlying poor performance against Port Adelaide that I really remember strongly, but after that they've been excellent. You can't just knock over Geelong and Geelong, Sydney and Sydney, although Sydney's form's not great. The wins they're having have been against quality opposition, not so much Melbourne on Friday, but it's the manner in which they're doing it. And I think we've talked about this before. Their forward line is arguably the best in the competition. Their midfield, ditto. Their back line, probably a little bit softer than they'd like at the moment.
Not with the Lobster back there, mate.
Yeah.
The Lobster's just absolutely clamping everything he can with those snippers of his. Like he's just running around.
He did an interview. I didn't read the interview, but he's talking about the media scrutiny, about TikTok, about just, where he's at.
You're not happy with it? Or?
Well, I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. I said, well, okay, the Lobster's job. But,
speaks out.
Credit
Lobster reveals all, was it?
Breaks his silence.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Rory Lobb. Going very well. Can't fault them. Melbourne, that's curtains for them, of course, for season 2024.
May's injured.
Yeah, May's injured. Petrarca, we know what's going on there. Their best players, they'll wrap them up. Well, they'll start playing, proper youth, even though they've had a pretty young side in as well. But I would say a disappointing year from Melbourne that started in controversy effectively with Clayton Oliver during the off-season, and it didn't really pick up from there.
It's amazing just going back after they win the premiership in Perth. I think the next year, they were 11-0 or something like that. The Dockers went over there and beat them.
That's right.
And then they didn't win a final. Haven't won a final since.
They haven't won a final since they won the premiership.
That's what I said, yeah. So they won the premiership.
Sorry, no, I'm not doubting you.
I'm backing you. This is just a team that, some funny, there's dynasties, as they say, dynasties. They were a team looking prime to win back-to-back flags, and they haven't come close since.
Well, we say that about... like 2019 Eagles, probably people thinking, they had Tim Kelly and they're going to be a better side. Like at the start of the year, we do that. We do that with every side. Collingwood was the same.
No, I must admit, after Geelong won it, you said back-to-back. I said, no, they're very tough to win back-to-back.
You're never going to let me forget that,
And Collingwood, I said, they're just too hard to win. And look, credit to Richmond who've done it and clubs that have done Hawthorn. I just don't think, the odds are you're not going to be able to replicate it with the same luck, the same form. So, no joy for Melbourne. They're cooked.
North Melbourne defeat Richmond by 13. Horrific skills on display under the lid. So I didn't see this game.
I'm going to say.
I'll just read it.
That's a bit harsh.
This is from Riley. Horrific skills on display under the lid. I tell you what,
who's got some skills is Nick Larkey. He kicked 5.
Yes.
He is. I'm not sure how many goals he's got in the Coleman. Is he actually there? Yeah, he's got 44 after his 5-goal haul. And Richmond started really well. They were backed in here significantly because I think the tank was back, Nankervis, Dusty returning as well. And they got off to a very promising start, but North Melbourne just ground away. They were inaccurate, Richmond, which didn't help their cause, and kicking 14-6 for North certainly helped them. But I think it's a good reward for Clark on what they're doing. They're second last, 12 points. You mentioned Adam Uze's under a bit of pressure. I'm not sure. Those in the know should realise that he has to be given 2 or 3 years to try and turn the ship around, because this is a club that's been there, and now they could lose Rioli, Bolton, and Baker, and maybe Lynch if he retires, and Graham. Yeah, Graham's come out of the blue for me. I didn't know.
Well, Graham's a premiership player.
Yeah.
So that's the pressure I'm talking about, though. If you have, are we hearing anyone at North Melbourne leaving?
Well, no, most of them are kids per se that are but young talent.
There's no exodus there.
No, but there's also
West Coast, Tom Barras, Jake Waterman's the only other rumoured one.
But all those players we talk about, they've all won flags. So they've had, it's very difficult to go through that period of greatness and then have to start at the basement again to try and at least have a look at finals.
Yeah, so I just don't think that's a positive thing. If you got 4 guys that are in your starting 18 that are rumoured to be out the door when you're no good.
Yeah, unless the only benefit is that, you're going to have a decent draft team, but that's not going to help Adam Uze in the short term.
So Jack Graham, West Coast.
Yeah.
Liam Baker.
How long ago did you hear that Jack Graham was...
last week or something.
Yeah, it's just come out of nowhere, essentially.
Liam Baker, we think Freo.
Well, that's the question.
Shea Bolton's got to be Freo.
Shea Bolton and Fremantle seem a marriage.
And Dan Rioli's going to Damien Hardwick.
Gold Coast. And Dusty, we don't know what's happening there.
You're right. Dusty could be Gold Coast too. Gold Coast need on-field leadership and take any of those players out. Like what I saw on the weekend for Gold Coast, they had no on-field leadership. They went to kill the game mode with 12 minutes remaining, up by 2 points.
Yeah.
Like you learn that in junior footy that you need to keep playing.
And they had, that's.
Sorry, I'm off track. But yeah, Hamish Brayshaw on the BackChat podcast, which we do Mondays and Fridays, interviews on Wednesdays as well. He said he's a big North Melbourne man. Big North Melbourne fan growing up. Drafted to West Coast for a bit, but he's back on North Melbourne, right? Back on Nuffy North Melbourne stage. He said after this year, so from 2025 to 2035, if that's 10 years, they will win the most premierships in that period in the AFL. What do you reckon about that statement?
Yeah, well, he made a couple. He thought that Melbourne was certain his last year to win the flag as well. So good on you, Hammer. No, I like that. It's easy to say that. 2035, I'll be 65. So you reckon I'll give a rat's what his prediction is?
You'll be still on the show of FootyCast. Don't worry about that.
Good on you, Hammer. North Melbourne. Hang on, he was all Melbourne every time I've done something with him. He's just all chips in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, they've flicked his brother off, so we'll see you later. Geelong defeat Adelaide by 5 at the Cattery. I did watch this one, Skeeter, called this one. How teams get Jeremy Cameron so wrong is just does my head in. They put a big burly defender on him. He runs them amok. They play him with no physical nature. He was running around with no one jumping. Like he took 3 marks in packs with no one putting a finger on him. You need to be physical on Jeremy Cameron. I know I'm not the world's best defender saying this, but that's how you beat him. When I see him go and kick 6, 7, 8 goals, it's because no one's been physical with him. So Nick Murray and co couldn't sort that out. He kicked 6 goals. Tom Stewart, he's moved to the midfield. After we're talking about backs going into the midfield, has been very, very good. He had 28 disposals and was elite at clearance. And Geelong win a game they had to win. Look, I thought at stages they were going to lose this one. Adelaide had full momentum at times.
Third quarter. I mean, it was a big third quarter with them. They kicked 5 goals to 3. I think they got out to about a 9-point lead or thereabouts. But the Cats found a way, and that's what they tend to do. So, Geelong, and I know you had them probably finishing 10th, 11th, 12th, Scully, but they've got 52 points there, equal third as we speak, at only by percentage. So, barring a disaster, and look, they've got the Dockers this week, but they're playing finals again.
At Freo, St Kilda, West Coast, so they win 2 of the next 3 and they play finals. Which is disappointing because I said they wouldn't.
Yeah, go.
Well,
it's just joy.
It gets to the point where I just can't keep beating the drum, Skeeter. It feels like with Geelong I can't do that. They should have fucking lost this game, and then I would have been back, but they didn't. Sam De Koning is a watch and act, really. The mechanism of his knee injury didn't look good, but apparently it's not an ACL. They're saying they're confident it's not that, more of a sort of a kneecap and tendon, patella tendon sort of issue, which I don't think sounds very positive either. But ACL would be the worst possible news. But the way he did it, there was no contact. He was changing direction and his foot and knee slipped out from underneath him and then he didn't get up.
Yep.
So that's not good, given that he's gone back and they bought Reece Stanley to come and play that ruck, which is exactly what they should have been doing. I don't. Yeah, Tyson Sengel was good after getting dragged out of Lammy's at 3 a.m. Lammy's one of the good establishments down in Geelong.
Is it really?
Yeah, a few drink cards down that way for the Geelong boys, I'm sure. Maybe a couple too many for Tyson Sengel.
Yeah, depending on what he was up to.
He played pretty well.
Yeah, look, Adelaide for what's at their feet at the moment. They're currently in 30 points. So they've won 7 games this year, a draw, but they're 4th last on the table.
Biggest disappointment alongside Gold Coast.
They've been big disappointments, you're right. And I know Matthew Nicks has re-signed a contract, but if they're still hovering in this territory this time next year, there'll be some massive question marks asked of them, because we've seen the best of them at times. They knocked over Port Adelaide in the showdown, playing some really good footy. We've seen them come from behind against the Bombers, even though Essendon's credentials are a bit shaky at the moment. But yeah, they've been a disappointment. We know that Laird and Dawson are their best 2 players, but yeah, they certainly, losing in Geelong's not a shame by 5 points. It's no disrespect to them, but they need to show us something in the last 3 weeks, and they've got the Bulldogs, as you said. You think they'll win on Sunday, so happy days.
Yeah, correct. They should be fine. Adelaide missed finals by half a point or whatever last year. Do you know who played finals last year? I was just looking at the ladder.
Well,
St Kilda.
St Kilda.
They were 6th.
And I think we did the game against the Giants, and they were absolutely torched at the MCG by them. So, yeah, Adelaide, we know they had a couple of moments with umpiring, whatnot last year, and the post being shaved or not being hit and the goal to Keys. But, yeah, this year I think they've been a disappointment, no question about that, alongside the Suns.
Collingwood defeat Carlton by 3 points at the MCG. Scott Pendlebury's 400th game. Did you pick Carlton?
I did pick Carlton, yeah.
I think you did. I picked Collingwood. They get up for their boys. They keep their season alive, Collingwood. Like, there was a lot on the line for this. 1 for Collingwood, 2 for Carlton.
Do they keep their season alive? You said they're out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought they were going to lose. Yet I picked them, and now their season's alive. Walking contradiction, I am. But, of course, the moment we'll speak about here is the Mitch McGovern failed shot after the siren. I was with his brother for dinner, and so I wasn't watching this live, but Gov's phone started blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
And we're having something, whatever we're eating, and he goes, oh, mate, shit, I think something's happened to Mitch, because people are going, oh, for fuck's sake, Mitch, and this and that and this. So we pull our phones out. And
so you missed the kick?
We didn't see the kick, but we got it about 5 minutes later, because Jez's phone just started blowing up. And then before we got up what had happened, I said, I bet you he's had a shot after the siren, and pulled it up, and so be it. And as you can imagine, given Jeremy has kicked a goal after the siren.
And so has Mitch, by the way.
Has he?
Absolutely.
To win one.
Absolutely.
Has he?
I was about to say, I don't think there's any family connection, any brothers of air that kick goals after a siren to win matches for their teams, and those two have definitely done it. McGovern's done it. Jay McGovern's done it probably a couple of times, I think, at least once.
Yeah, definitely done it once.
Adelaide rings a bell.
Port Adelaide.
Yep, and certainly Mitch McGovern, I think, did it in Adelaide as well. But, Jaden will check that. But Mitch McGovern has done it before. So the kick itself...
Poor.
Yeah, it was. Well, I was at dinner as well, and my daughter's boyfriend Sam is a Carlton tragic. I said, mate, they're only within a kick, and I said, it's probably game over. And he said, McGovern's taken the mark, and as we watched it, just shanked. It was a bit like Stephen Kernahan. You're too young for this, but I think in the early 90s, he all had to do a score to force a victory for Carlton over Essendon, and he missed everything out in the full, just as McGovern did. So it was a poor kick. Well, it was 45 metres out. He'd love to have it again, but it wasn't a gimme, put it that way.
Put that back in there, Jaden. I'm interested in that. Jordan Ngoe, he's out for the year.
Hamstring.
His tendon's done. So
looked innocuous. The incident didn't look as severe as what obviously the result was.
You know where I reckon he did it? Right before it. So I've watched. He had a big sprinting effort across the face of goal. Someone kicked it over the back, and do you remember him? Like, absolutely piss bowling. They just missed him right before that centre bounce. And so I reckon he's done it there. Going, is this a cramp? What's going on?
And completely done it in the next contest?
Yeah, correct. Okay. How can you miss that? Corn savages McGovern for spraying game-deciding kick after the siren. I reckon Cornsy's got a bit of an...
Hang on, he's potting Mitch McGovern here, is he?
Apparently.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. Did you see the kick wasn't...
It was from 50...
It was 45, 50, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was he savaging him for?
Well, how can you miss that?
Oh.
How can you not score? I don't know. I don't see the full details, but I'll have to go and check that after this because
I know you'll ramp up the social media stuff, won't you?
So the run home, right, Skeeter.
And by the way, Scotty Pedrick, lovely moment after the match. I know 400. That sits okay with you getting the. Did
they cheer him?
I think they did.
They better. 400's all right. Get the chair for 400.
He's a gun. Well done to him, and he was probably close to the best on ground. Nick Dacos. He may well have picked up some more Brownlow votes.
He wins the Brownlow for mine.
I agree.
No one's taking votes off him.
I think
that's the thing.
I think it's a done deal.
Yeah, so do I. And I think he's like 550 or something.
I don't look at markets. I just concentrate on football.
Replace market and football in that sentence. I don't look at football. I just concentrate on markets would be more bloody appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good effort by Scotty. So the run home, Skeeter. So where that's put both of these sides. So Collingwood sits 11th on the ladder, but they're one game out of 7th, effectively.
Yep.
But you think the Bulldogs keep winning. So I reckon...
Even though you took Adelaide this week.
So, shut up. So I reckon... What do you reckon? There's...
What do you reckon?
I'll include Essendon. I reckon there's four clubs playing for one spot.
Yeah, probably. Well,
Carlton, Essendon, Hawthorn, Collingwood playing for 8th.
Do we mention Charlie Curnow? Held goalless. First time in
66 games.
66 games. He's still on 56 goals for the year behind Jesse Hogan. But, yeah, Charlie Curnow. Having not seen all the games, there's talk that maybe they're a bit tall at times. Carlton, ball of the deck, and Collingwood were better suited in that sense.
Charlie hasn't notoriously played well in big games.
No, you're right. In finals.
That's a knock on him.
In finals last year.
He needs to... He's been one of his last 2 Coleman medals.
And he'll probably win the. Well, he's on track to win a third.
So is he going for 3-peat this year?
Yeah, which is in Gary Ablett's senior territory.
So to do that, I look at him as one of the great forwards, but I don't think G stands up in big moments.
You know what? You're right about all that, and until he produces, let's use some of the great forwards of the modern era. If you don't do what, say, a Dunstall did, or a Lockett. Lockett obviously didn't play in a premiership, but Dunstall in big games, you knew as a forwd that he would stand up. Dermot Brewer, even in a losing grand final.
I don't have to go that far back though, mate. So Josh Kennedy, my teammate.
Yep.
So a couple of things. So 2015, he was held goalless by Frawley, and it was like it was tattooed on his heart. Like he was that livid with that performance. But I think about him in big games, and I say that one first because it was like an anomaly. Him in big games just used to kick goals and used to stand up, and when the moment came, he would more often than not do the right thing. So North Melbourne prelim in that year, we were 4-0 down. He kicked a goal, the loudest I've ever heard Subiaco Oval. 2018, kicks 3 goals in that premiership. He's had final success. Like he's been a gun in finals.
And I'll back it up just if we're talking Eagles, and we're going back a bit further, obviously. But Peter Sumich was a big game player. He found goals in grand finals, in finals. Yeah, so you're right, and that's missing from Charlie Curnow at the moment in finals. You've still got to get to the September action, but then you can
have your moment too.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right, that would definitely be playing on his mind as he goes into this. So all he needs is one really good performance, and that
he's not the player. He's not the player as a defender I'd be wanting to play on in a final. Going, geez, he's not going to play well today. Because if you're not on, he'll rip you. So the run home for these sides, it's significant ski because I think they're competing for the same spot in the 8. Carlton 8th are a chance to miss finals, which is just outrageous. We had them as the second best team and blah blah blah. When I say we, I mean
you. No, you, because I've said to you, I don't. After having seen them against the Dockers, I don't think they're as good as what people. And I said that to you.
I haven't listened. I haven't listened to you. You don't learn. I'm not listening when you speak. Carlton 8th, Hawthorn, West Coast, St Kilda. So Hawthorn, that is for finals. Whoever loses that misses finals.
Well, Carlton Hawthorn this week is.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said.
That on paper is the match of the round by a mile.
That's what I'm just talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm just reiterating that.
Thank you.
That goes back to
whoever wins that plays final. Whoever loses misses finals. Agree or disagree? Fucking massive game.
It is a massive game. I'm not sure. There's other permutation there, but you're probably right. But
they play West Coast here.
Carlton.
Yes,
they win that.
Well, they win that, but West Coast have challenged Brisbane. They were okay in the Derby. They've beaten Gold Coast in the last 3 home games that they've played. Then they've got St Kilda at home.
Yeah, Blues. And again, you can't win a flag outside that top 4 position, although we've seen strange things happen this year, but it's going to be really tough for them.
The finals is on the line, mate. Collingwood, they play Sydney away. I think they lose that. Brisbane and Melbourne. So that's their run home. They're not beating Brisbane.
Dare I say, I think this is that was their grand final on the weekend.
Okay.
Are you happy to stand? And losing to Goey, he's really important to them. I think Collingwood have fired their best shot. They're not good enough this year. They've had injuries. But, I think, a bit like Geelong last year, they're missing.
What on earth happened in this game? Port Adelaide defeats Sydney by 112 points at Adelaide Oval. It was 71-0 in the second quarter. What on earth was going on?
And there's more questions about Sydney than there are about Port Adelaide, surely, because someone mentioned, I think it was in the early 1980s, where the top of the table side has been pantsed by about 90 or 100 points.
Saw that. It was in the 40s the last time the top of the table got done by that.
Yeah, it's
John
been
Longmire's
extraordinary.
Biggest loss in 13 years as coach. Never had a worse loss.
How do you explain it? I mean, they're beaten out badly by the Bulldogs, which, given their form, it was, it was okay. Here's a wake-up call. But then to produce what they did at the weekend, and credit to Port with what they did, but that's that's changed the whole look of the season for Sydney, because you don't just, not too many teams bounce back from a 112-point win and then just turn the switch on the next week.
Well, they're now 2 points clear at the top of the table. They were 12 points clear at one stage. So that's the fourth match since 1997. The Swans have been held to less than 10 points at half time. So only 4 times in the last 30 years. Willie Rioli, Mitch Georgiades kicked 4 goals. Willem Drew tagged the absolute bejesus out of Chad Warner and had 32 disposals himself. So shock, go and tag the Chad, who is their best player when firing. Isaac Heaney has been well down over this period. So the Swans have won 1 of their last 6 games. So they are on a slippery slide. They've got Collingwood, Essendon and Adelaide to finish the year, which all present their own challenges. Like none of them are, West Coast, Richmond, North.
But
although they're all sides that I don't think will play finals.
Yeah, they're finishing top 2. I still think they're finishing top 2. I mean,
why? What tells you that?
Because you mentioned who they're playing. I think they can beat those other 2 sides, including Collingwood.
Why do you think that?
I just think there's enough quality there. You don't think that there's enough quality there to win enough games to finish top 2. Bear in mind, there's still a game clear and percentage of third place Port Adelaide. And it doesn't matter whether you finish first or second. Let's be honest. It means nothing in the scheme of things come finals. You still get your 2 home finals if you win.
Yeah, that's a good point, Skate. Maybe it's people are just panicking too early.
You're right, though. 112-point loss or whatever it is.
It's not positive. Monday morning meetings, they'll be sitting there right now. Imagine what they're copping from John Longmire.
How do you, in brief, how do you... Given your side's still in a very good position to win the flag, as the ladder shows, but then how do you turn what we saw and what they produced on the weekend into an education for the playing group, or is it a real wrap over the nut? How do you think, as a coach, the horse will approach it?
It can go 2 ways. Either John Longmire's rip it, like they're getting a new paint job in there because he's just ripped the paint off the walls. He's just absolutely torn a new one. He's individualising, and he's hoping that flips him up. Because there'd be a lot of love in that coaching, like that they the arms around type setup. But he could go bang, or mate, it could be let's go down to the pub and get on the piss. Genuinely, I'm not even half joking about that. And I've been involved with that. Like on a Monday, it's just you need a reset and you need to go right, boys. We're not doing Monday meeting. Because, what do you want to get out of that? You know that's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, how can you... I mean, I know you can learn from looking at the vision again, but can it be counterproductive?
Absolutely. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the latter as well.
Even just, say getting the piss, but certainly going out, having a team dinner or something that's just getting away from the footy.
No, I'm talking about getting on the piss. Yeah, get on the piss, get blind.
Get blind. Yeah, now you're taking your Mickey.
I'm not. Get on the piss.
What days do we do it this week?
They'll be there now.
Tonight, Mad Monday.
No, they're now during the day. Everyone get in bed so you don't lose any sleep, but you get to a point where home truths come out and you effectively do the team meeting at the pub, and Bob's your uncle. Carlton did it last year. They were down at Ed Kernow's dam, naked and drinking and carrying on. Yeah, they were. That's publicised too.
Naked and drinking.
Yeah, that's right. They made a prelim.
They did make a prelim, but making a prelim is not going to be good enough for Sydney this year. That's they're not going to get on the piss today. You're talking absolute shite.
Mate, go on.
Okay.
If you're in Sydney, go have a look.
Text Coxie at some stage today and find out if they've been on the gas.
All right.
Just see. And if you're right, then I'll. Do you
need to find out if they're naked or not?
Oh yeah, down the cross, just hitting up some of the disreputable places.
Thank you, Skater. Now Sydney have Collingwood, Essendon, and Adelaide to finish. So they should finish top 2. I've already said that.
I've told you that. I said that they should win 2 of those games, probably 3 of them. They'll finish top 2. It doesn't matter whether they finish first or second. Okay, but you're right. This is not a loss. You go, oh well, they've lost one of their past 5 or 6. It's a manner, and that's the issue I think that they'll be really concerned about.
Finish off on only one team has gone on to win the premiership after losing by 100 points or more, and that was in 1945.
Good to hear that one.
World War II was on.
Yep.
Carlton.
Would have been just about finishing.
So round 3, 1945, Essendon 22-18, 150 beat Carlton 7-8, 50, and they went on to win the flag. Carlton. So it's a little bit between drinks.
Yeah, although it's going back almost 100 years, isn't it? So,
Yes, so yeah, I'm not sure if you look too close to the record books for that one. GWS defeat Hawthorn.
Oh.
Did you enjoy that game, by the way?
Which one?
The one in 1945. Where'd you sit for that one?
Well, I was actually just having a pie in the stands, and yeah, absolute
Pint of shelter.
Yeah,
GWS defeat Hawthorn by 2 points.
That'll make me 120 years old.
Marnica, yeah, you're looking good for 120. GWS defeat Hawthorn by 2 at Marnica Oval. Tell you what, this was a good one. I saw this, Skeeter.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. And it was a bloody ripper.
I didn't. I was watching it out of the corner of my eye because I was on radio. But you talked about Fremantle capitulating 25 points up. Hawthorn, 28 points to the good.
Second time this year.
And they've conceded, I think, 7 goals in the last quarter. I think that was the some result. And they just couldn't quite hold out the orange tsunami. Jesse Hogan is on top of the leaderboard for the Coleman medal with 58, kicking 5. He's playing the best footy of his career.
So Hawthorn and Fremantle are in the same basket for mine. Just not quite ready.
No.
Like they're having to go through this hard time to learn this stuff. Like this is what you can and can't do. Freo have got players learning, and I think Hawthorn. And so I think Freo and Hawthorn, like they're setting themselves up to be, like they're going to be the big dogs over the next few years, I think, like the way it's going, but not this year. Because if you can't hold a 28-point lead at three-quarter time at home effectively, if you can't hold that, you're not really ready to even play finals. So if they don't play finals, well, so be it. And I know they've been talk of the town, but
I don't. Yeah, so I think you're right. They're not ready yet, but they have been up for a fair while. Bear in mind they lost their first 5 games, so I hope they play finals because it'd be fascinating to see how they respond to that challenge. Because let's be honest, if you're looking through some of the teams in there at the moment, Hawks are playing as good a footy. Take out the last 15 minutes, they're playing as well as many of those sides in the top 8. So yeah, they
had this under control most
Absolutely.
of the day, and it was one of those ones where it was just like, well, they're just gonna have this wrapped up, and then Hawthorn, flick the switch and GWS flicked the switch and started sort of doing what we expect them to do, and their best players stood up. Toby Green kicked 3 goals. Tom Green kicked the match winner. Like their best play. This is how you win games in footy. Your best players play well, and that's what happened.
And I think we have to acknowledge now. I know you're big on the orange tsunami side, but they are, pardon the pun, the sleeping giants of this top 8 because no one's really spoken about them at any great length. But they're currently in 4th spot.
Hardest run home. So Freo have the second hardest run home. GWS have the hardest.
Well, they've got the Brisbane Lions this
Brisbane
week.
away, Freo
at
home, and then the Dogs away.
Yeah, so
that's mate.
They could be 0-3 potentially, or they could pinch, or they could win 2 of those 3.
They probably need to pinch one of them, definitely.
Oh no, they need to win 2 to finish top 4.
Yeah,
I think so.
No, you're right. Yeah, they do, but I don't know if they can.
Well,
Hawthorn on the other side, they've got to win all 3 games to play finals.
They've got Carlton,
and then they play Richmond North.
So there's 2 or 3 they're winning.
Well, they'll win Richmond North. That's why this weekend winner stays on.
It's the elimination final, and for Carlton, maybe the same for them. But yeah, look, the Giants. When you look at their Lockie Whitfield, I know you're a massive fan of his, but he was terrific.
Yeah.
They probably got out of jail with that last quarter, but they used the momentum they had, and unfortunately Hawthorn couldn't stop them.
Jack Barkley with a
big
tackle
on
late.
Sicily.
Left his man.
It was on Sicily, I think.
Sicily.
I think it was in the last maybe just over a minute to go. They led by 2, and I thought, well, if this gets out the back, Hawthorn at the very least get a shot on goal somewhere. But yeah, you're right. That was a huge moment in the match. Dean Brazier, I think he's been a good pickup for Hawthorn.
Absolutely.
He's been former bomber.
Find a spot on the list for him.
Yeah, so he's been terrific. Good game of footy. Let's be honest, both these sides. It was the markets had them really tight, and that's how it played out.
Or who did you have?
I tipped the Giants, and I stayed with them.
Did you invest on the Giants as well?
No, I invested on Hawthorn at -9, so I lost my money on that one.
Okay. I thought you might have.
By the way you were speaking. I found a way to get rolled, but I'm glad you find humour. My wife doesn't.
No, I could just hear the tone in your voice when something hasn't gone your way in a game. I can hear it. I can hear you speak about it. Yeah. Well, I picked that, didn't I? You
seriously?
What?
No, yeah, I lost on that result. Yeah, but and that happens in life, as you will find out.
Brisbane defeats St Kilda by 85 points. I'm not spending much on this, Skeeter. Seriously. St Kilda are no good. Biggest disappointment of the year, along with Gold Coast. 6 last year, irrelevant this year.
No, they're not. It's not a surprise.
No.
When you say biggest disappointment, I beg to differ. I don't think either you or I thought they'd be able to back up what they did last year.
Yeah,
but let's take the alternative view that we've got a new premiership favourite, and it's quite clear. It's the Lions. What they did yesterday. What was the match? I think it was against the Bulldogs. They went down to Marvel and knocked over the Bulldogs.
Was it in Ballarat? It wasn't in Ballarat, was it?
It was at Marvel. Yeah. And it was a Friday night game. And I think Chris Fagan afterwards said, I was driving back from down south, and he said, you know what? We decided we're going to have to be aggressive, take the game on, be vulnerable to leaking scores occasionally. But, this is a bit like, dare I say it, the Geelong of the early 90s, where they just wanted to kick a score, and if you could go with them, good luck. And at this stage, kicking 19 goals, St Kilda, it was like an A-grade team against a very, very modest side, and the quality was just stark. And when you think of Rayner and Neal and McCluggage, Big O in the middle, this is a side that's going to finish top 2, in my opinion, and go close to winning it.
Do you know what did they do 9 weeks ago that's changed everything?
That's a good question. I don't know what they did, whether they got the piss as you would suggest or not, but they certainly, I think, publicly, the coach made it clear that he said, look, we're just going to have to be super aggressive with how we play our footy. So and it suits them.
They actually made a hire to the footy club. They hired a coach, and it is Stuart Dew. Since Stuart Dew has got to the football club, they are 9-0 since he got there. Not joking. Yeah,
what's he doing at the footy club?
No idea. No idea.
Well, let's be honest. Dewey went across to London last year and helped out the Australian cricket team, so I've got no idea what he did there either. But you know what? Sometimes you've got lucky charms, and he might be the one for them this year.
Part-time assistant coach, sort of running right-hand man type operation in the box. Why haven't we heard Stuart Dew's name thrown out for the West Coast job? Maybe he doesn't want it, but why haven't we heard his name? He's been a senior coach.
I suppose when you're sacked by your previous club and you didn't get them to produce their maximum.
So he's no good?
I didn't say he's no good, but he didn't get the Suns to where they needed to be, and that was playing finals. Mind you, Damien Hardwick's not doing it this year either. So, I don't think he's in the top 5 candidates at the Eagles as we speak. Okay,
Mark Reddings, Will Schofield, what we frothed on coming up after this. Skeeter, I tell you what, it's a big weekend of footy. There's some big moments. Froth Town is going to be even bigger. August 23, 24, froth.town for your tickets. It's a huge festival of beer and all things good in life. Shelter will have a massive tent down there at the Claremont Showgrounds. I believe that's where it is. I could have just been absolutely plagiarised that, but I believe that's where it is. You can get your tickets. It's not too far away. Skeeter, I believe, is getting his own throne down there at Froth Town. We're going to have him just loaded up to the guzzles down there. And we want to know, Skeeter, on the back of Froth Town coming around August 23, 24, what did you froth on this weekend?
Oh, well, I'm not going to go locals. I know you like to stick to the West Coast and go Eagles and Dockers stuff. Yep. I think that the storyline, the narrative of the weekend was at the MCG. I think it was Scott Pendlebury. I think watching him, the tribute afterwards, I just thought he was a really good player for them. He's going to go on next year. He joins an elite group of huge names to reach 400. And you know how hard it is to play almost half that. Yeah. It's a mighty effort. I don't know if you know, as a bloke, I was with Ben Cousins yesterday. He played against him. Shows you how long ago he started his career. But I don't know if you know him as a person, but he strikes me as a pretty decent fella. So I frothed over seeing Pendles prevailing with the Pies on Saturday night.
Very good. Thank you very much, Skeeter. You've given me some time to think about this.
Because we do spend a lot of time in prep work for all this stuff.
Yes, we do. Yeah, correct. I just forgot to put this one on the run. Look, I'm gonna throw it out to the skipper of the West Coast Eagles, Liam Duggan.
Yep.
I frothed on his game, but more specifically, his last 15 minutes of that game. He kicked a goal from stoppage, and he's playing in the midfield, but he's not a midfielder, I don't think. I still think he's a backman that's playing in there.
Yeah.
But he stood up like you wouldn't believe. He kicked that goal. He had a couple of tackles, and so to the point I started tracking him. I was calling this game, and I started watching him, and he was running around like an absolute maniac, tackling, chasing. he stood up as a captain, as a leader. I thought that was his best game. He had 22 touches. That's not the most touches he's ever had, but just the time, what he needed to do off the back of concussions. I frothed on Liam Duggan, the captain of the West Coast Eagles. Skeeter, you happy with that?
Yeah, good shout.
Very good. We might get a carton of shelter down to Duggo just to soothe his sore bones after a big game. Footycast at BackChatStudios.com.au is our email. Send us an email to get in touch. Shelterfootycast.com.au. You'll get all the stuff we've got on the show over there as well. A couple of audience questions to get through, Skeeter. This is from Shavi Tapyas. That's coming there. Thank you, Shavi.
Did you not pre-read that?
No, I did it just for you, Skeeter.
No, you didn't.
I did, mate.
Okay.
I did. It got you, though.
Hello, Shavi.
He says, "Hey, Skeet and Co. Just a non-thought I had since I pinched it from a different podcast about the scheduling for games at the same time. It seems like it's a case of one game for Victoria and then something else for one or two other states, i.e. WA or Queensland this week. Seems to be a broadcast decision to get eyeballs wherever people watch from. For people without Foxtel or KO, I usually just try and listen to Skeet on the old wireless. I did zero fact-checking on this, but will regurgitate other people's thoughts. Cheers, Shavi."
Thank you, Shavi, up your ass, if that's what he's...
I believe that's who it is.
Yeah, okay. We've talked about that, even on Friday night, having the game in Melbourne, Footscray versus Melbourne audience watching that, and it was almost like the steak knives with West Coast versus Gold Coast. And that was to try and nullify the NRL. Saturday night was the big one when you had Port and Sydney, which we were hoping would be a good game.
No one would have watched that.
But after 10 minutes, well, you would have just the fascination factor of it.
Yeah, true.
In that sense. But Carlton Collingwood say, I do agree. Look, when Thursday nights come in, that will be significant more regularly next year because there's more of that. The other aspect that's worth keeping in mind, not that it's really answering the question, but as of 2025, Fox, for instance, will have a commentary team do every game, irrespective of whether Seven has the right. So Friday night footy, if it's Carlton Collingwood, you'll have the option of listening to Seven, on watching Seven, or a different commentary team do the Fox games. So that's in play as well. I know Fox have got exclusives on Saturdays, and Seven certainly will be looking to work their way around that to ensure that they provide options locally, I would have thought.
There'll be more footy content coming out from broadcasts like Channel 7. But some people might not understand what you're talking about.
No, I know.
So when you flick on Foxtel, if you're watching on Foxtel, Friday night game,
it's Channel 7.
It's the Channel 7 commentary. I don't think people get it because as it's set up, they'll go to the studio, which will be Gary Lyon and Jason Dunstall and Dermot Brereton. They're all Fox Footy employees. They'll then sort of throw to the game. They don't say we're going to our Channel 7 partners at Channel 7. They just go, all right, let's get into the footy.
Well, it's the same as we do at Optus when we're doing a show called The Game. They say, look, wait until you see the ball raised by the umpire. Let's go to our commentary. Even though that's on Channel 7, that is a Fox game, which you are invariably doing with Paps.
Yes. So they, at the moment, take the feeds, but next year will be a pure Channel 7 commentary and a pure Fox Footy commentary. And it could be even the same game at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, certainly Fox will do that for every game. Whether 7 does that across the country,
they'll pick and choose.
Not so sure, but maybe here you might have next year the option of obviously maintaining your Fox feed, so to speak, or you might have maybe a 7 commentary team here. Who knows?
G'day, Solar Panel, Schofield and Joe Biden. Would love your opinion towards English coming to West Coast and the ruck division that would inevitably cause with, with Flynn and Bailey Williams taking most contests and Jack Williams pinch hitting. How would English fit into the team? I fully agree. He's the best of those options as someone who can ruck and go forward to be a presence, but this leaves me questioning the need for Bailey Williams and if he were to have any perceived trade value. If he comes, if English comes, does West Coast go back to a 2-ruck tandem with English and Flynn like the days of old? And if so, does this leave room for Jack Williams? Interested to hear your thoughts considering the state of the game showing the importance of a dedicated ruckman is on the decline. So playing 2 and therefore an extremely tall forward line might be a negative. Cheers, legends. Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron. Let me just touch on Jack Williams has to keep playing. Irrespective.
Oh, yeah.
He has to stay in the mix. I was interested, Matt Flynn hasn't played the last couple of weeks. He's played waffle footy. So maybe that's a Jared Schofield decision to say, well, I'm not quite sure that he's the option that he would prefer as a ruck, because that's why he came to the club. And that's why for the first 2 months of the year, everyone's saying, when's Matt Flynn ready? Well, Matt Flynn is a solid ruckman, but he's not, not a world beater, which I think's a fair statement. And the Tim English aspect, you never knock back getting a good player to your club. That's a given. But as we have discussed, the onus on clubs now to not necessarily have a highly paid ruckman come to your club, I think there has to be buyer beware on that front, as good as Tim English is. Do you share that sort of theory?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've spoken about that I don't think you want to pay overs for him. But it sounds like West Coast are very interested, and I think they want to get him to the club. So to do that's why the Tom Barras chat happens. So anyone inside the footy club that can't understand why the Tom Barras chat happens, that's like, well, he's contracted and we're not talking about it as a football club. It's just garbage. The reason you're talking about it is there's plenty of players that want to come to West Coast. Let's call Liam Baker one of them. Let's say Jack Graham's one of them. Let's say Tim English is one of them. Right? You can't just get them.
Do you think they can get, well, it sounds like Graham and Baker, do you think they can get all 3 of those players to the club next year, but Tom Barras goes, for instance, as they have to lose something? Yeah,
you can't just get people and keep everybody. That's not how footy works. And so that's why Tom Barras being contracted is irrelevant. It depends what the club wants to do. If the club doesn't want to keep him there and they don't want to pay him a bit more money if that's what he said that he'd be happy with, well, that's a decision the club's making.
Yeah, but if the clubs they're saying, for instance, to me, someone at the club on Friday said, well, he's on a contract. We want him there. Then what happens?
Okay, well, you're going to have the same list you have this year, right? And you're not going to improve the list and you're going to be shit. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
so if you trade a Tom Barras, you get something back for him. That's the point. That's what happens.
You get some quality. And
whoever said that to you, the Eagles might be asleep at the wheel, I think.
They don't have that many quality players to offer up for trade, and he is one of those.
Correct.
Oscar Allen is one. Harley's a different story given where he's at.
And Oscar and Harley probably not getting traded at this stage.
No.
Hey, boys, if Fremantle get to the grand final this year, do you think they wear the original anchor Guernsey? Thanks, Scoey, and thank you, Mr. President. Kind regards, Brendan.
Yeah, no, well, that's thanks. At least I'm not getting called Donald Trump. Anyway.
Can we get a split? Can we get a bit of a split with Joe Biden and Skeeter? I do think there's a significant
age difference. Yeah, I'm 54 and he's 81, you numpty.
I think there's quite a bit of a likeness.
What, in the way I speak, in my delivery, in my vacant stares into the camera?
How you look, actually.
How I look? Oh.
He's looking pretty good for 80.
Well, that means I'm not looking good for 54. I'm not just hanging in there. That's okay. I'll take the whack.
What's the question?
It's about... I'll tell you what, they'll wear whatever jumper they can if they get there. I don't think that's... After yesterday, that's, as Scully said, they're done now for the flag. He's already made that pretty public.
I think they're not. I don't think they're ready.
No, they're probably not.
But yeah, I did
But
say.
you can still finish top 4. Is this Joe by me, is it? Okay. Oh, fuck. Luckily, I've got, I live with women and had teenage daughters who abuse me every.
He's actually got more hair than you do. If you have a real look.
Well, why don't you just wear some? Why don't you get your stupid beanie off and see how you look, dickhead? Are we done?
I think we might be done. Yeah, I think we might be done.
Jaden, if you ever want to work in the media, I'd stop doing what you're doing right now, young man, because I've got contacts that could end it in about 2 seconds.
Here we go. He's a president. He's going to press the button. He's going to press the bomb button.
He's blowing you up.
Very good. Tell you what. You know what to do. Shuttlefootycast.com.au. Find all his stuff there. Skeeter, me and Joe done for the day.
As Kamal would say, why are people so unkind?